I recently realised something that genuinely made me feel a little bit sick. I hit my 10-year anniversary on TikTok, or Musically, technically, which sounds kind of funny when you say it like that. Like, oh, cute, 10 years on an app. But then you actually think about it. 10 years, that's like more than half my life. I've spent more than half my life on social media. And I don't know about you, but when I actually sat with that thought for a second, I was like, oh, that's not cute. Because imagine hypothetically, I spent just 1 hour a day on social media for those 10 years. That's 3,650 hours, which is 152 days. 152 consecutive days of my life just scrolling. And I know 1 hour sounds conservative, because we all know there have been days where TikTok has basically been my full-time employer. You open it for 5 minutes, just watch one video, you laugh, you scroll, you scroll, you scroll. And suddenly it's dark outside, and you've somehow learned 17 things about strangers you've never met. And I think that's when I started wondering, when did social media stop feeling social? Because I actually have quite a nostalgic relationship with social media. When I first got Musically, it felt completely different. And obviously, this is going to make me sound ancient because I'm talking about Musically like it was the 1950s, but it generally was different. It was funny skits, lip syncing, dance videos. It was people making terrible transitions in their bedrooms. It was the satisfying slime videos. It was Vine, people moving over to Musically. And honestly, people were just posting. There wasn't this massive pressure to have a personal brand. You didn't have to think, is this content on brand? Will this perform? Is this aesthetically pleasing? Should I post at 6:47 p.m. because that's when my audience is more active? You just thought to post something because it was funny, or you liked it, or you wanted your friends to see it. And I think that is what I miss. Because somewhere along the way, social media became less about sharing your life and more about performing your life. I think there's been a real subtle shift. At first, social media was a place where ordinary people could express themselves, and then celebrities came onto it, then influencers, then brands, and now, basically everyone is a mini influencer. Even if you don't call yourself one. You post a holiday photo and you're thinking about the carousel. You buy a new moisturizer and suddenly there's a little voice in your head going, wait, this will make a really good TikTok. You go to a restaurant before you've even tasted the food, you go to a restaurant and before you've even tasted the food, you are photographing it from 3 different angles. And I'm not saying that it's inherently bad. I literally make content. I understand why people do it. But I think we've reached a point where we're struggling to just experience things without documenting them. And social media isn't just somewhere we express ourselves anymore. It's an industry, and the platform knows it. They've realized that they have millions, sometimes billions of people's attention, and attention is incredibly valuable. So now these platforms aren't just social networks. They're shopping centers, advertising spaces, entertainment platforms. They're search engines, marketplaces. TikTok has TikTok Shop. Instagram has shopping and affiliate links. WhatsApp has business accounts. You can watch a video, see something you like, click it, buy it, and continue scrolling without ever actually leaving the app. And the entire process is basically scroll by, scroll by, scroll by. And I think we need to stop and ask ourselves, is this actually what we want? Because here's the uncomfortable part. We aren't really paying for social media with money. We're paying with attention. And attention is your life. That's the part that freaks me out. Because when an app keeps you scrolling for another hour, that's not an hour you go get back. It's an hour of your life. And these algorithms are incredibly good at keeping us there. You get one video you like, then another, and every now and then you get something really good. And your brain goes, okay, one more. And that's basically the digital equivalent of filling the level on a slot machine. Except instead of losing money, you're losing time. And sometimes I think we're so used to it that we've stopped noticing. We sit down for 5 minutes, we pick up our phone, we open TikTok, and suddenly we've been scrolling for an hour. Not because we consciously decided, I would like to spend 60 minutes consuming short form content, we just went on to autopilot. And I think that's a little bit scary. Because I'm not going to sit here and tell you to delete every social media app. Let's be realistic. I'm not doing that. I do like TikTok. I like Instagram. I like sending my friends stupid little videos. I like discovering new restaurants, clothes, books, literally everything through social media. There are some genuine amazing things about it. So I don't think the answer is necessarily to leave social media. I think it's learning how to use it intentionally. And these are 5 things I want to start doing myself and I figured to share. Number 1. Stop opening apps out of habit. This sounds painfully obvious, but notice how often you pick up your phone without actually knowing why. You're bored. TikTok. Awkward 5 seconds. Instagram. Waiting for the kettle to boil. TikTok. Going to bed. TikTok. Waking up. A little scroll through social media. Waiting your friend to come out of the toilet. Somehow you're watching a woman in Ohio reorganize her fridge. And I think we need to get comfortable with being bored again. So before you open an app, literally ask, why am I opening this? If the answer is, I don't know, maybe just don't. Number 2, make your phone less interesting. Because right now our phones are basically tiny casinos in our pockets. Notification, red bubbles, messages, likes, views, recommendations, new videos, everything is designed to pull you back in. So make it harder. Turn off the unnecessary notifications. Move social media apps away from your home screen. Don't sleep with your phone next to your face, and maybe, controversial opinion, don't start your morning with TikTok. Because it's the first thing your brain consumes every day is 20 different people's opinions, lifestyle, bodies, relationship, careers, and breakfast routines. Good luck figuring out what you actually think. Number 3, post because you want to, not because you want to perform. This one is probably the hardest because once you've been on social media for long enough, you start seeing yourself through the eyes of imaginary audience. Will people like this? Does this look embarrassing? Is this photo good enough? Why didn't anyone like it? And suddenly you are not living your life, you're evaluating your life as content. So I want to start posting things because I like them, not because they're impressive, not because they're going to perform, not because they'll make someone think my life is more interesting than it actually is. And maybe we should bring back posting something stupid just because it made us laugh. Number 4, have things that never become content. I think this one is really important. Having experiences that only belong to you. A conversation you don't record, a restaurant you don't review, a sunset you don't photograph, a book you don't post, a walk where you don't listen to a podcast, a holiday where you don't feel like you need to create a cinematic recap. Not everything has to become content. Something can just be your memories. And honestly, I think that's something really beautiful about that. Because if everything becomes content, eventually you stop knowing whether you experience something or whether you experience yourself experiencing something. Number 5, get your life back. And I think this is the biggest one. If you realize you spent hours scrolling, you don't just feel guilty about it, replace it. Because you can't just take something away from your life and expect the empty space to magically disappear. Read, go outside, call someone, cook something, learn something, go to the gym, make something, sit in a cafe, write, draw, literally stare at a wall if you have to. I think that we're going to have to relearn how to be people without constant stimulation. And that sounds really dramatic, but I kind of mean it. So the point isn't to go back. And I don't think social media is going to be going back to what it was. Honestly, I don't even know if I would want it to. Social media has given people opportunities they may never have had. You can build a career from your bedroom. You can find communities you would never have met in real life. You can learn things for free. You can discover people who make you feel less alone. You can create something and have it reach millions of people. That's incredible. So I'm not anti-social media. I'm just anti-autopilot. I'm anti the idea we should spend every spare second consuming something. I'm anti turning every part of our lives into an opportunity to buy something. And I'm definitely anti the idea that our worth is somehow reflected in numbers on a screen. Because I don't want to look back in another 10 years and realized I've spent another 152 days consecutively scrolling. I want to remember what I actually did, who I talked to, what I made, what I learned, where I went, what I laughed about, and who I was when nobody was watching. So maybe the question isn't, should we delete social media? Maybe it is, what would happen if we started using it instead of letting it use us?